Nancy Husselman is here from the Eddy County DWI Task Force, and I was mentioning to you off air that we had a number of comments from folks that really appreciated the story that you told, the interview
Yes.
with the victim that
Yes.
that you brought last week, and they really appreciated that story. So
That was a hard story.
yeah,
It was real. I think it was what impressed me the most about it, but I appreciate people calling in and saying something.
yeah. So I
Someone is listening.
wanted to share that with you. So we're smack dab in the middle of summer. The people are, I guess, out and about, recreating, if they will.
Recreating, and I hope everybody's being careful. As we've talked several times, and I got up thinking about this morning, being on the boats and being out at the lake and it being so stinking hot.
Mm-hmm.
To just remind people to please be careful. Not only careful to be careful, but not drinking and driving the boats and then driving home after being out in the heat. That your family is the most important thing in your life, or it should be. Your wife, your children, your husband. That's what you should be thinking about more than anything.
Yeah.
And what am I doing right now at this moment that could hurt or help my family, my children, that we all get home safe, that the people that we're driving by will get home safe? How are we reacting to, I want to grab a beer, or I want to have a drink, or whatever exactly? And I know that I've repeated this over and over and over. Think before you drive. Get a designated driver. But it just really hit me this morning, I think, from the accident that we had on Main Street the other day.
Mm-hmm.
How fast a life is lost. How fast it's there 1 second, and a young friend of mine saw this happen, and it's really had an impact on him about some things that he's done and been careless and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, we get to thinking that we're invincible.
Mm-hmm.
We do, or we just don't even think about it. Did I pull out in front of somebody? Did I go through a stop sign? All of these different things that can happen. And in the summertime, when it's so stinking hot,
Yep.
and maybe I'm just talking for myself, I have a tendency just to want to get out of the heat. So I go a little bit faster maybe and not pay as much of attention as I should. But we've all got to just stop and think about those things.
Yeah. Well, there's a checklist, and you and I've talked about this before. I don't know if we've talked about it this season, but you had mentioned before that there are driving under the influence laws that apply to boaters.
Yes, definitely. And if you're out there and you're drinking and driving a boat, that's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have very serious consequences. Not only the consequences of the legality of it, but what if you hit another boater with a family? Well, because you've been drinking and you're just having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But you're just not where you should be. You're not the sharpest tool in the shed. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
You're not thinking right. You're having a good time. And you add alcohol to that, and everything goes downhill.
Yeah.
Not only that, your whole process. You're supposed to be with your family. Give them your undivided attention. Families are so vital.
You're not paying attention, so you may get into an area that there are swimmers.
Yes.
There may be water skiers out there, and somebody's stopped water skiing, and waiting for somebody to pick them up, and you're not paying attention. You're going at a high rate of speed, and you can do that. So you have to be aware of that, because there are laws that apply to piloting a boat under the influence.
Absolutely. And they carry some pretty stiff consequences.
Yeah.
And that word, consequences, is what driving in, I was thinking consequences. What are the consequences of your drinking and driving?
Yeah.
Have you ever stopped to think about it? What could happen again, what could happen to your very own family, much less what happens to another family if you, just like you were just saying, there's a swimmer out there and you run over that swimmer.
Yeah.
That swimmer's probably not going to make it. That's the consequences of your actions.
Right, right.
And we have to, as our population is growing and people are out moving around, and more, we have to be more aware of what's going on around us. And I'm not sure that even those of us that don't drink or anything, sometimes we are not paying attention. And it just takes that split second that we are setting in a deadly weapon when we're driving.
Yeah.
Driving.
I know what you're saying.
There a little bit.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. But that also presents a challenge too. I mean, if somebody comes to a party or they're at your campsite,
right?
What does the law say about the responsibility of the person hosting the party or hosting the campsite? If someone is at their party or at their campsite, they consume an excessive amount of alcohol and are involved in some incident.
If they're adults, I think that's on the adults. I'm not sure about that. If you have children, underage drinkers, that's a whole different story because you are responsible. You had the party, it's at your house, it's your campground. If that underage person gets and you allow them to get into your cooler and start drinking, and they get out there and they get on a boat and they kill somebody, you're responsible for it.
Right.
That was your bad for allowing a minor to have alcohol in the first place. So you got to remember those things.
That's whether it's at a campsite, by the lake, or on your personal property. Yeah.
Yes. So you need to be careful and stop and think about these things. And the same thing goes with, are you giving them drugs of any kind? Then that's a substance that you had no business giving a minor those drugs.
Yeah.
And anyone under the age of 21 is a minor. They may be 21 driving, 20 and out, got a job and all this kind of stuff, but they're still 20 years old. So those are things you have to consider.
Yeah.
Or you need to consider to keep yourself out of trouble, or keep them out of trouble. Being a good old boy is not always the wisest thing to do.
Let me ask you this. It's obviously the Eddy County DWI Task Force. DWI stands for Driving While Intoxicated. Is the mission of the task force going to change any with this new controlled substance that we've now legalized and people are able to partake of? And I'm talking about the marijuana sales now.
Right. It's interesting because I picked this up, our newsletter, county newsletter, and on it said, let's see, where is it? This isn't a very long article. How come I can't find it? Anyway, there was an arrest. Here it is. One offender was driving under the influence of marijuana and Benadryl. So they came into the program to do an assessment and all that kind of stuff. So yes, any kind of driving under the influence will be part of our program.
Could be alcohol. It now can also be under marijuana.
As well as, and I've mentioned this before, if you've got any kind of medical drug that you're not supposed to be driving, there's consequences for that too.
They usually say on the label, don't operate heavy equipment or something like that. Anything that you take, whether it's prescribed or over the counter, ask the doctor or the PA or the pharmacist, wherever it is that you're getting these items, or maybe it's over the counter, but there's usually, in a lot of places you go, there's a pharmacist.
Yes.
Sit somewhere in a window somewhere, they'll be more than happy to say, look, if I'm should I be driving if I'm following the label directions on this, and they'll be happy to help you out.
And remember that your feelings are not the law. The law says if you're under a substance that you're not, and just because you feel like you feel good or I'm okay or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean if you're driving down the road that you're staying on the wrong side of the road, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I thought marijuana and Benadryl, whoa, that's quite a combination
Yeah.
to be trying to be out there driving. So
And last time I checked, those were both legal.
yes,
To
they're
purchase.
both legal,
Yeah.
just like alcohol is.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make them legal to drive under. And you've got to remember, marijuana stays in your system for a long, long time. It doesn't just go away. Alcohol, you can sleep it off. Marijuana, well, I don't think it's 24 hours or something.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've really continued to smoke or take or whatever for several hours, then you're going to be pretty high for a pretty long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's,
You don't need to be behind the wheel of a car. You don't need to
No.
be on a boat. You don't need to be doing anything that potentially could endanger other people.
and as far as I know, and I'm pretty sure it's with any company that has a company pickup that you're driving,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big no-no.
Yeah.
You still have to face your employer. And if you've been high or whatever, or if you test high after having an accident, do you really want to lose your job?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Some people have probably said that. They probably said, "Why am I in trouble? It's legal now."
Yes.
But the conditions under which you have your CDL or the conditions under which you're employed,
Hmm.
I'm sure they have policies in place.
Yes, they do.
Insurance
If they
probably
don't, they should.
Oh, I'm betting in order to have insurance, they probably have
Yes.
these policies in place. So just because alcohol's legal and marijuana's legal doesn't mean you can get in the company truck and drive around everywhere. That's
No.
that's not that's not what that means. So
And that doesn't mean that just because you're, like I said a minute ago, you're feeling good and everything's fine,
mhm.
especially with marijuana, that you're not still full of it, so to speak.
Yeah,
So you need to be careful about those things.
that's right.
And one other thing I wanted to mention was that we will be at the fair
Okay,
on the 27th
okay,
all day. We will have a booth there. I don't know if it's ours or if it's with the sheriff's department. I don't know how they do that. But I will be there, so if anybody would like to come by and visit, I'd love to talk to them and
Okay.
see who's out there. And
you gonna be there all week or just that day?
I will just be there that day.
That day.
Someone else will be with it the other days.
Okay, so there'll be a booth
yeah,
there that the task force will be represented, but
Yeah.
you will be there
yeah,
on you said on the 27th,
uh-huh.
which would be
In the afternoon.
Wednesday.
I'll be there from 1 to 5.
Do you know which building your booth is
I
in?
have no idea. I'll find it when I get there.
Well, people should wander around in both
Yes.
buildings anyway and look at everything.
Yes, I would love to visit, or even if someone would like to come on the radio and give their story, I would love to talk to them. Or they could even give me a call at 575-703-0012, because I've really, really, since I've been doing this,
Mm-hmm.
realized how important people's stories are,
Right.
their own experiences, how much more weight they carry, so to speak. So,
Yeah. No, it's important to be able to, if you want to.
yes, if you want to and feel
it's important.
comfortable.
A lot of people don't want to.
No.
They don't.
No.
They want to. That I want
How
to.
many years did it take for me to tell my story?
Yeah, yeah. Well, everybody's a little bit different. Now, next week, we'll actually be doing this show from the fairgrounds.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and we've done that in the past. So when we get, because what is today? Today's the 21st. Today's the 19th.
The 19th.
So, no, we won't be doing our show next week from there. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we'll be doing our show from out there because the fair doesn't open till Tuesday evening.
And that's next week?
That's next week.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I have been so messed up this month.
Yeah. So next week, the parade is at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. The official opening is at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. So we'll be doing our morning show here Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll be doing our morning show Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from out at the
okay.
fairgrounds.
Okay.
So that's the plan for the day. I've got to move the trailer. We're going to be doing the hot dog festival at Benny's Saturday for the Day of the Cowboy.
Oh, that's right.
And then
That is Saturday.
and then the trailer goes out to the fairgrounds, And then Sunday and Monday, all the animals come in. And then on Tuesday morning after the show, we'll go out there and get the power plugged in, get the air conditioning turned on, and get it all turned into a radio and TV studio for the week.
Oh,
And then we'll be streaming all the stuff Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So looking forward to
really?
it.
It's so good that we're open now and everybody can do their fairs and the kids can do their thing with their animals. And
Yep, that's right. You're exactly right.
That was hard.
Well, good. Well, anything else, Nancy?
I think that's it.
All right.
I'll see you next time.
We'll see you
or
here.
at the fair.
Well, yeah, that's right, because next week you wouldn't be here, but you're going to be at the fair. But then the week after that, we'll be back here. But anyway,
Anyway, we'll get it figured out.
we will
for
have
you.
it all figured out. Thanks, Nancy. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on the show. Jeff will edit up all the interview segments, and we'll podcast those.